Now, we should add that Putin has also denied the accusations, saying that they are an effort by the US to embarrass him. Now, one of the other leaders implicated in the Panama Papers of trying to hide his wealth, of course, was Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. Let's go to Paris now. Our editor-at-large, Craig Capitas, is there for us. Craig, great to have you as always. Year and 3 months after the publishing of the Panama Papers. What is the progress of the EU's inquiry into that scandal?
Well, the fog that Brussels threw over the inquiry, which was more than 25 public hearings, missions, talking to everyone, has now turned into smog. This has become an exercise in complete confusion. It got to a point in May, for instance, when parliamentarians were actually prevented, they claimed, by the EU Council, Jean-Claude Juncker's group, from getting data that they needed from the European Union Commission, which led a number of lawmakers to to claim that Jean-Claude Juncker was involved in this, forcing him to defend Luxembourg's sweetheart tax deals with multinationals at a time when he was finance minister. And of course, he dodged those charges. So what we have here right now, and it's very weedy, is the Panama Papers showed that approximately $192 billion in tax revenues were lost to the EU based on revelations in the Panama Papers. And the parliamentarians are still trying to figure out how to repair this tax loophole, and they can't do it.
Craig, thank you very much for that. We're going to cross over to Pakistan now, and I think we have our reporter Mobin Nasser, and there he is. Mobin, thank you very much, and great to see you in your hometown of Karachi. Mobin, tell us a little bit now about the case involving the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Nawaz Sharif. Remind us briefly of what Sharif was accused of in the Panama Papers, and what are the latest accusations against him?
Well, the trouble really began with the Panama Papers, as you and Craig were just talking about. That had revealed that the Prime Minister and his children own a number of offshore companies, which in turn own assets worth hundreds of millions of dollars around the world. These are properties like apartments in posh areas of London, like Park Lane and Mayfair, factories in Saudi Arabia, businesses in the United Arab Emirates. However, after those revelations, the prosecutors here did not take up the mantle. It was the opposition parties that went to court and said that these assets were not declared in the country, and they accused that this money was perhaps obtained from ill-gotten means, stolen from taxpayers, essentially. The latest, of course, here in Pakistan is that the Supreme Court had then set up an investigation team which has come back and said it's found significant disparities between the income and the wealth amassed by the Prime Minister and his family. It's also said that some of the documents that they submitted were forged or fake, and it wants the Supreme Court, it has now suggested to the Supreme Court that criminal charges should be brought against the Prime Minister and his family under the country's anti-corruption laws.
OK, Mobin, what has Sharif's response been to all of this?
That's a very interesting question, because when this commission was set up by the Supreme Court, the Prime Minister had celebrated publicly. He was eating sweets and claiming that this is something he wanted all along and that it would eventually vindicate him. Of course, now that it's released its findings, the Prime Minister and his family have called it worthless rubbish. They've rejected its findings. So obviously a clear difference of opinion there.
OK, and maybe one more question. How has this case affected investor confidence in Pakistan?
It's rattled investor confidence. The stock market, just as a benchmark measure, is down about 15% from its life high. 4.5% of that fall was on Monday, right after the release of the report. Now, keep in mind, in Pakistan, stocks, any single stock cannot fall more than 5%. So a fall of 4.5% across the market means investors literally dumped all stocks.
Mobin Nasser in Karachi, thank you ever so much.